Welcome back to the archive. If you haven't seen the first episode, aka May 2008, go check it out now for an intro to this series. Anyway, the first video of the month starts off like this. When a video starts off with a yawn, chances are it's not going to be very exciting.
Tomorrow is my first day of school. The holidays all over. Unfortunately, I'm going to start year 9. I'm not really looking forward to it, to tell you the truth.
Oh boy, I remember that dread of returning back to school after the holidays. Then you see those back to school sale ads on TV and your blood starts boiling.
I'm starting year 9. It's a lot different to year 8. You know?
Oh, that does it. A boring video and a bunch of yawning. I'd better move on before I lose my entire audience on the first video.
I'm just going to talk to you about what's happened throughout my whole day. First day of year 9. Okay, I didn't really like it.
I like how I paused and tried to come up with a positive word for my first day, yet I couldn't think of one, so I just came clean and spoke the truth.
And then we got handed all these pens and stuff to write our name on a diary.
Oh no, this is turning into another boring dull video yet again.
She was explaining some on-the-spot thing on Tuesday. I've got this next week, where I'll bring something in and do some speech on it, and something that you're interested in. I don't know what to bring, really.
Great, so I've got to bring in something and do an interesting speech on it, yet so far all I've proven this month is how boring I am.
I'm interested in my iPod. I don't want to bring that.
My school used to confiscate any technology you brought in unless it was a laptop to do your schoolwork on, so it's understandable why I didn't want to bring in my iPod.
Then the teacher was like, okay, right now we're going to go outside and do this thing. It's not speed dating, but it's a bit like speed dating. There'll be 9 of you in one row and the other 9 in the other row, and you'll constantly be swapping and talking to different people to get to know each other for 2 minutes. Oh, it's very nervous doing that.
I'd be nervous too, as I'd probably bore everyone to death based on how dull these videos are, and that's not a great first impression to make.
4GB USB. There was 8GB ones and 16GB ones. 8GB I think was $80, and 16GB was like $150, so I didn't get this one.
Wow, now that's expensive. In 2019, if I go to Officeworks, 8GB USBs are not very common anymore, and there's only one choice available for $5, not $80. And 16GB USBs are now a common budget size, and they're generally available for less than $10, not $150. You can get 128GB USBs for as little as $29 in 2019, which just goes to show how much technology has progressed over the last decade.
Now you're gonna laugh at this teacher's name. Mr. P. Payne. And really, to tell you the truth, I don't actually like that teacher. He seems like a really teacher.
Oh, come on. You could have made the joke, he seems like a real pain.
And he's like going bald and stuff, so he's not such a good teacher.
How exactly does going bald make him a bad teacher?
Mum's having an ultrasound because she'll be 12 weeks pregnant. In this ultrasound, we'll be able to see Jasmine, and Dad's going to go into the hospital physically and film everything that goes on there, and this is going to be really cool, I think.
Rather than just hearing me talk about it, let's skip forward 4 days and take a look.
Unfortunately, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet, because they said it's too early to tell, and they said we weren't allowed to film inside there. They gave us a CD of 24 photos, which I'll show you now.
In future ultrasounds, we're allowed to film, however for now, let's just take a look at the photos.
And that's inside the womb, I think. Those are the actual legs, and that's the bum.
Okay, I probably could have used a more pleasant term there, but still, seeing my sister 168 days before she was born is pretty cool technology.
That looks like the spine there.
And that's the hand. And that's the back of the head with the little nose tip there.
Anyway, as interesting as this is, let's move 2 days forward to when I jailbreak my iPod Touch for the first time.
This is an iPod Touch 2nd gen. I'm using the tethered jailbreak because the full version isn't out yet.
Wow, bad pronunciation. I meant to say tethered jailbreak. Basically, this means that in order to boot, my iPod needed to be connected to a computer with the jailbreak software. So if my battery died or I turned my device off, I wouldn't be able to turn it back on again until I ran the software on my computer again with the iPod plugged into it. A huge disadvantage obviously, but let's see the advantages that come with jailbreaking.
As you can see at the bottom, I have in this bar 5 applications. You're only supposed to have 4, but I installed a program that allows you to have 5.
Yeah, I know, a basic tweak, but I thought it was pretty cool back then.
Anyway, Cindy is sort of the application where you download all these other apps that aren't in the App Store.
Cyndia? Seriously, it's Cydia. Basically, Apple has no control over what apps pop up here, and access to this wide range of application and tweaks that you can't get in the App Store is the main reason people jailbreak their devices.
Then someone tries to touch it, then all of a sudden,
That's actually a pretty cool prank to trick your friends with. I literally thought my iPod broke while scrolling through this video 10 years later. Anyway, I also had a Cydia app called Categories that allowed you to store your apps in folders, which wasn't available back on iOS back then, but overall my favourite thing was emulation, which sadly wasn't that great back then due to how underpowered the iPod Touch 2nd generation was. Here you'll notice that even Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System is running at a very low frame rate. At least themes were pretty cool to have on the iPod back then. With the Vista theme installed, you wouldn't even think it was an iPod anymore. In the next video, I talk about life in general, and how school and work make it suck.
I'm not one of those people who particularly like school because I hate doing work, and I'm doing work there for ages. Basically, every day I go to school, I get a bunch of homework, and I usually spend about 3 hours a night. And the weekend is just filled with horrible McDonald's shifts. Oh, I hate the weekend. I hate the week. It's a pretty miserable life. I wish I could just skip the next 5 years, because the next 5 years...
In 5 years from that point, I was working as an early childhood educator, and although I went to TAFE to earn the qualifications for that job, I never went to university to do a massive course. Anyway, let's move on to the next video.
So it's a little bit late, so I'm a bit tired. I was just about to go to bed. I'm trying to keep myself in a sort of sleeping position, so yeah.
Sitting up in a chair doesn't look like a sleeping position to me.
Good news, we found out that I really am going to have a sister, Jasmine. So yeah, we found out that it's a girl.
Well, that's some good news, but 2 days later, I've got some bad news.
No Cydia or installer. It's not jailbroken anymore.
So let's find out how I lost my jailbreak.
I was playing around with a program called Categories. While you're putting stuff into folders and arranging everything, it has a high chance of freezing. It froze on me. Then I had to turn on and off my iPod, but every time I turn it on and off, because I've had the tethered version of the jailbreak, you know what I have to do? I've got to stick into the computer to type all these lines of code. Anyway, I typed a bunch of lines of code, but then I accidentally pressed that button, and I wasn't supposed to press that button. Then, basically, I couldn't do anything, so then it was stuffed. So then I had to go into recovery mode, DFU mode, by holding the buttons.
Too much info, let's stop it there. Long story short, the tethered jailbreak was just too unstable, so I had to wait for a more stable jailbreak release before jailbreaking my iPod again. Anyway, this next video appears to start off like a horror movie.
I think I heard them.
But when you see what the title of the video is, you soon realise that it's just my grandparents coming over for yet another visit.
Are they here?
Grandpa just... Phil, Grandpa called. Go and film him.
He's not up there.
They're on the street. I've got to help them.
Baby, hello. They're not here yet, they're just on the street or something.
Obi often escaped from his home on Sundays to visit us, as he knew he'd always get some food. He only came on other days of the week if we brought him over. It's like he somehow kept track of what day of the week it was. And as soon as my Nana and Grandpa came, he smelt the meat and got very excited.
Look at you.
Hello.
Hello, dog.
Sometimes a little too excited.
No, it's not for you. Jeez. You are out!
Gee, that's a bit violent with a knife, but don't worry, he didn't become our lunch. He actually got some lunch. Later, it was time to show my grandparents ultrasound pictures of my future sister Jasmine.
That is actually the brain, the head with the brain inside.
Yeah.
There it is there. Can you see it with the head,
Yeah.
the feet up, the stomach? Look at the spine,
Yeah.
the head. Look at the hand there. Can you see the hand? It's sucking its thumb there.
Already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's it sucking its thumb.
My God.
And there's its little hand. See that with the head?
What do you think it is, Nana? A boy or a girl?
As if my nana would know the gender from a few ultrasound photos.
I don't know.
What does it look like? A boy or girl?
Nothing. I can't see.
It was only a day or two ago that we found out she was a girl, and if you remember what my mum said last month, you'll realise that this is a huge relief.
Remember I said to Ben, if it's a boy, he's out. Pack your bags, go. Guess what?
It's a girl.
He gets to live here. But it was funny because when we were in the ultrasound, I asked him, I said, can you tell from this whether it's a girl or boy? And Ben said, oh, do you really want to know? Because he was scared he was going to be out sooner. He gets to stay. And guess what? We didn't even have the boy's name picked out. It's going to be Jasmine Rose Adams. I wanted to pick a name that was very pretty, a bit unusual that not a lot of people have, but at the same time I didn't want it weird or strange.
You didn't want New York or
The other
Paris.
fleas.
No, just or Sunday roast.
Sunday Roast. Now that's a name you'd never forget. Anyway, next up, I made a discovery about the ultrasound CD that we got from the hospital.
I found out on the thing of Jasmine, there are videos of her moving in there.
That's right, there were videos on it along with the photos and I hadn't even realised. So let's check them out now.
Here's one. Oh yeah, hiccuping.
Yup, hiccuping is surprisingly very common and noticeable through ultrasound videos. As interesting as this is, let's just move on because there will be more ultrasound videos in future episodes. In the next video, I discuss my desire to jailbreak again while checking out an app that lets you do crazy things with photos.
I'm gonna get one of my grandpa and stuff. See, that's my grandpa, he's the president of a club. First of all, if I put a dot somewhere, I can drag that dot around and I can put multiple dots. You can get a pretty wacky photo, but what's even more wacky, I can press this button over here. By shaking and doing stuff with this, I can control certain aspects of the thing. See? Okay. Let's pretend I was controlling Grandpa's hands. See how funny this is? Dude. See, it looks like he's sort of moving around and this person's head.
You could certainly turn a serious photo into a complete joke with eye jiggles, but I'm not sure that app exists anymore. Anyway, in the next video I discuss my mum having another ultrasound soon, but since that was never filmed, we'll just skip forward to the next video.
Okay, we've got like heaps of stuff for Jasmine, clothes for her, lots of little pink clothes.
Since I don't actually show the clothes off in this video, we'll just skip forward to the next video where you actually get to see them.
Here are Jasmine's clothes and, yeah, clothes.
Now here's the first little thing. Yeah. As you can see, it's a sweet little yellow jumpsuit, and it's for the little darling to bounce around in. Little darling.
Next one.
The amount of times my dad goes is actually quite creepy.
Her stylish pink jumpsuit. Look at that little Jasmine. She's gonna hop in here and she's gonna be bouncing all over the world, the sweet thing.
Wow, my dad looks like he's just about to self-destruct. And bouncing all over the world, this is just a normal baby we're talking about, not some kind of super baby.
And this is baby Jasmine's cute three-piece sweet thing. It's a sweet thing.
Now that's what you call a loss of words. This video is just so cringy that it's actually funny.
And she's got her favourite pink hooded jacket, and it's $9.99, and there's a pair of little ears for her. I see to that.
Wait a sec, she's not even born yet and you're talking about her favourite clothes. How can a fetus have a favourite anything?
And the little darling's got a pair of cute pink pants.
Wouldn't it be a disaster if after all these pink clothes were picked out for her, it turned out to be a boy during birth? Well, actually, that's exactly what happened to me back in '94. My parents were told by all the doctors that I was a girl, and boy did they get a surprise when I was born after buying all the girl products. They didn't even have a boy's name picked out for me until days after I was born, because they certainly weren't expecting a boy. Anyway, in the next video, I simply talk about how I jailbroke my iPod Touch again, using a slightly easier tether jailbreak method with voltage. But let's skip this and see what's going on with my carpet in the next video.
I have these two. This is the more luxurious one, this one.
No, but this one's got less. See how it's all marked?
Oh, that doesn't bother me at all. It's the feeling under the feet I love.
Yes, this is just a video all about selecting the new colour of carpet for my bedroom. And this is something my mum is super picky with.
Okay, well straight away, this one is too dark. Too dark. That
from
goes.
Harvey.
I like that blue.
As you can see, there are heaps of shades of blue here, but my mum wasn't happy with any of them. So the search for the perfect shade of blue continued for many days.
But it doesn't
That's
sort
too
of
bright.
say. It doesn't say blue very much to me. This
Yeah, but
one.
that's I like the hint.
2 days later you can see more blue sample carpets here, but she didn't like them either. And since this video is just me talking about Powder Game, I think we'll end off this episode here, and I'll see you guys in the next episode featuring March 2009, the month that I potentially get blue carpet in my bedroom. Wow, that's a lousy cliffhanger. I'll see you guys then.